Whenever God says he's going to give you power, get ready for pain. Pain is what God gives with power to keep you from arrogance. You will never become intoxicated by the power he has allocated because you have to deal with the distraction of the pain that is dispensed with the power. He told me, you're going to reign. And he said, oh, I had a dream. And he comes telling all his brother his great big old powerful dream. And they hated him. And they said, because of your purpose, we have despised you. And they snatched him and they put him in a pit. They threw him in a pit, took his coat of many colors, dipped the coat in blood. They lied on him, told his father he was dead. If you think people won't lie on you, you know the old saying that there's always a little truth in every lie. That's not true. Joseph wasn't even sick. He didn't even have a cold. They said he was dead. Some lies have no foundation at all. And all of a sudden, through something that he had nothing to do with, the middle part of his life, the biggest part of his life, was consumed by a lie. And he finds himself down in a pit, half naked, no food, no water, vulnerable, and at the mercy of life, probably expecting to die in a hole like an animal, waiting to get out. And whenever you go through something that takes you down, there's always somebody there to say, what did you do to bring this on yourself? When injustices occur, we always look for logic. We are such rational people. We try to reason, how did this happen? Why are you leaving me? I was good to you. Why do you treat me like that? I've been good to you. Why are you cheating on me? I've been good to you. Why? We look for logic to life. If you look for logic, you're going to go crazy. Because life acts like it drank a fifth of Gordon's gin. You get a good fifth in you, you might say anything. It doesn't even make any sense. You ever seen an old drunk go to crying? They don't even know what they was laughing a minute ago. And then, my mama died. And you think she just died 30 years ago, mama. Life is just that erratic. It's just crazy. And some of your lives, you've gone through stuff that it just seemed like a madman designed your life. Stuff that wasn't fair, it wasn't right. You knew your intentions were good, your purpose was good. I mean, the injustice of it all. It'd be different if you was reaping what you sowed. But some of this stuff you reap, you know for a fact you didn't sow this. Now, I might have done something, but I know good and well I have never treated anybody like you treat me. Joseph said, well, I might have got an extra cupcake or something, but I never threw none of y'all in the pit. And so I'm not reaping anything. And here I am. I'm scraped. I'm bruised. I'm scarred. I'm hungry. I got to go to the bathroom. I'm locked up in a pit. I can't get out. I never did anything to deserve to be in the place that I'm at. And look at me. And every time it looked like he was going to get a breakthrough, something went wrong. Can I talk to you this morning? I think it's bad to be down, but it's even worse to have the smell of hope And every time you reach for it, it disappears. The Bible said it this way: hope deferred maketh the heart sick. Hope deferred maketh the heart. You get sick of hoping, and sick of trying, and sick of trying to get it together, and sick of trying to motivate yourself and keep yourself moving. Sometimes you just rather not have no hope at all and just shut it all down. And maybe I could get used to being in this. Maybe I could get used to being alone, or being used to being lonely, or used to being without you. Used to just don't call me. Don't call me. Don't. If we through, don't call me. Don't keep calling me. Trying to don't play my weaknesses. If we finish, we finish. You don't need no rent money. You don't need a cup of sugar. You don't need a bottle of buttermilk. Leave me alone. Don't keep playing with my feelings and my emotions and make me think that something is possible when it's not. Leave me alone. Hope deferred maketh the heart sick. You already made me sad, but now you're making me sick. Sometimes your life makes no sense. How could somebody as gifted as me have this kind of problem? Anybody ever thought it's just me? It's just me. Am I the only one? You know, you would think that if I was going to be in prison, I would not have any gift. Or you would think if I was this gifted, I wouldn't be in prison. But here's the conflict of life, that it can be the best and worst moment in your life all at the same time. And it's weird to me because people see the good part and hate you over the good part, never knowing that you're dealing with stuff that's worse than what they're dealing with, and they can't even see. And so Joseph ministers his gift from a prison cell. He translates, interprets the dreams of the butler and the baker, and he does it from a jail cell, and he's helping other people and can't help himself. Isn't it funny how when you start talking about living on purpose, how you go through a season where you can help other people and can't help yourself? I bet you the best advice you ever gave was for somebody else. You know exactly how they can get out. You know exactly what they need to do to get a breakthrough. You know exactly what they need to have a happy home. You know exactly what they need. You talk about it. That's the thing that drives me crazy about gossipers. I am amazed at people who have the nerve to be talking about other people when your life is in a mess and all by itself, and you sit up there pointing at somebody else, and you know what child, you know what she ought to do, girl, she crazy, and you got a mess way bigger than the one you're talking about. That's how it is. That's how it is, baby. That's really how it is. And there he is in that situation, and everybody's getting out but him. If you're going to live on purpose, you must go through a period in your life where it looks like everybody's getting out but you. Everybody's being promoted but you. Everybody's being recognized but you. Everybody's being loved but you. I went through a period in the church I grew up in. I was in that church for 7 years. They never asked me to preach or teach. I think I taught maybe 2 Bible classes, 2, 3 in 7 years. They were asking me to vacuum and clean out the baptism pool and sweep the floor. The whole church seats about 80 people, and it was seldom full. And I was never asked to do anything of significance. I mean, with my gifted self. With my blessed self. With my called and anointed self. With my set aside and gifted and big thinking self. Nobody recognized that I had something. And God didn't stop it. He didn't fix it. He didn't change it. He let them send across the country to get people in who were saying stuff that was just boxing my ankles, just boxing my ankles. I go home, my whole ankles would be swollen and sore from mountains of absolute nothingness at all. And he let me sit there and dry rot, and gave me sermons and nowhere to preach them, and teaching techniques and nobody to listen, and concepts and ideas. And I thought that a madman had gotten loose in my life, because everybody was getting out but me. They were all being recognized but me. So-and-so's going to be preaching this there. So-and-so's preaching for the missionaries. So-and-so's doing that. And what are you doing? We want you to pass out cups to the kids and, you know, wave at the traffic when they go by. You're going to be the mascot on the side of the road. I was the little monkey waving at people. You know what I'm talking about? Hello, welcome to the church. All that kind of stuff. And nobody seemed to recognize that there was something down inside of me, and I was gifted in a prison. If I'm going to talk to you about living on purpose, I have to warn you about going through seasons where you are gifted and in a prison, and you got talent, but you're overlooked, and God allowed it to be so, because there's strength in suffering. There's power in being overlooked. That's how you know when a wine is good. You don't know that a wine is good. You don't stomp on the grapes and then drink it next week. After it's set a while, the older it is, the richer it gets. And when God wants to make you high quality, he makes you wait. You wait on love. You wait on ministry. You wait on promotion. You wait on opportunity. And if you will be still and know that I'm God, when I do open you up, you're going to have power. Glory to God. Touch somebody and say he saved the best wine for last. He made you wait for it. He made you sit for it. He made you frustrated. He didn't serve you when you thought you ought to have been served. He didn't point you out. He didn't recognize you. He just let you sit there, and you said, Lord, when am I going to have a then? And he said, be still and know. I tried to understand why God used Joseph, because now let's be fair with his brothers. I can kind of understand why they would have an attitude. You know, I raised twins, and I was very careful that if I bought one twin a toy, I brought the other twin a toy. So I always had to multiply by two. It wasn't going to be no one bicycle. It had to be two. If it's going to be one set of mittens, it had to be two sets of mittens. My sister could live off a dozen eggs for a week. I told her, my sister, we would blow a dozen eggs in one breakfast easy. She said, really? I said, yeah. We had 5 kids. It was like feeding the United Nations. They bring my groceries home in a truck. I lost my ability to cook for one person. It just no excitement at all. And it was always like that, because you try to be fair. Try to be fair. Try to be fair. Try to be just. I understand these brothers. Because I mean, hey, Dad, I'm your son too. Why would you give him the coat of many colors and not give it to me? You had me first. I'm the oldest. I was working in the fields when Joseph wasn't even born. See, there's bitterness. All bitterness does not come through what happened. Some bitterness comes through what didn't happen. You know, how come it didn't happen for me? And I don't care who you are, and you might not admit it, but when you see God blessing other people, and you know they ain't no better than you, sometimes they worse. I mean, you just a little off. They plumb outright crazy, and you find God blessing them, and you've been in the background waiting a long time. You say, this doesn't make sense. I don't think I would have thrown him in the pit, but I can understand the frustration over what didn't happen. When you start talking about letting it go, it's not always letting go of what did happen. It's letting go of what didn't happen. I thought we'd be happily ever after, and it didn't happen. I thought I'd be running the company by now, and it didn't happen. I thought we'd own our own house by now, and it didn't happen. And I'm not bitter over what did happen. I'm bitter over what didn't happen. And I couldn't figure it out. I said, I understand these brothers, they a little bit. I mean, Dad, Joseph's like, he's at the tail end of the family. And he gets all of this preferential treatment. What's the big idea with blessing him over top of me? What's the big idea with giving him the coat of many colors and giving him the opportunity and giving him the birthright? What's the big idea with doing all of that? I didn't understand it. I didn't understand it until Joseph is now the prince of Egypt. And his brothers have come to Egypt because there's a famine in Palestine. And they're coming seeking help, not knowing that Joseph is there. The father supposes that he's dead. The brothers don't know what happened to him, don't seem to care. They got all this baggage of all of this trauma that's happened in their life, and here they come giddy-apping into Egypt, coming in here with all of this injustice and all of this mistreatment, looking for favor. And you mistreated everybody you touched along the way, looking for favor. And every time you were in a position of power, you destroyed the person up under you, looking for favor. And every time you got up, you put your foot on me, looking for favor. And every time you were outside, you threw me in the pit. It's not that I fell in the pit, it was what you said that threw me in the pit, and you don't even care. And here you come running up now, wanting God to bless you, never thinking that the one that would end up with the power to bless you is the same one that you use your power to destroy. Because if you thought that you would ever run into some of the people you mistreated and need them, you would never have done them like you did them. But it's a funny thing about purpose, what goes around comes back around again. Now, here's my problem, Ella. All the years I heard this sermon preached, the preacher always polluted the text with their personality. When Joseph encounters his brothers, he says, you meant it for evil, but God made it good. And the preacher will always say, you meant it for evil, but God. Touch your neighbor and say, but God. And all the bitter people go there, whoa, yes, Lord, ain't it the truth, child? Yes, Lord. Because everybody who's wrestling with some secret bitterness or pain or trauma reads good text through bad eyes. And what you see in the text is a reflection of what you brought to the text. And sometimes you so contaminate your wisdom with the pollution of your story that you've never been able to get healed, because you only trust you to minister to you, and because your physician is sick, your medicine is afflicted, and your results are not good. Woo! High five a brother on that. I was a grown man. Been preaching since I was 19. I was a fully grown man before I understood the beauty of this text. The beauty of this text is, here comes these brothers who have all plotted against Joseph, and now they're down and out. Back then they had it going on. They were big balling and shot calling. But life has hills and valleys. And now they're in a valley and they're coming in with their hand out, needing a favor, and they're going in to see Pharaoh's chief financial officer about some sort of loan or extension to get them out of a pinch. And they walk in there for the big meeting to do their PowerPoint presentation. And right in the middle of the PowerPoint presentation, the guy that they had made an appointment to see reveals himself and says, "I am your brother." I bet they almost wet their pants. I bet they almost wet their... If there was anybody in the world that you don't want to be vulnerable to, it's somebody that you mistreated and got every reason in the world to hate you, and now here you are vulnerable and you said, "Oh God, not you." Can you feel that? Watch this. I'm gonna make this point. I'm almost done, but watch this. He says, "You meant it for evil, but God made it good." Check this out. This dude is comforting the people who threw him in the pit and made the biggest chunk of his life horrible. Instead of stabbing him in the neck with a spoon, which would be, the average person's inclination, something has happened to him in the process that instead of hating them, here he is ministering to the very people who had mistreated him. Joseph had let it go. And he says, "You threw me in the pit." And then he says, in the next verse, he says, "But God did it. You did it, but God did it. You did it, but God did it. You did it, but God did it. It was your hand, but his purpose. It was your lie, but he orchestrated it. You fired me, but God did it. You rejected me, but God did it. You forsook me, but God did it. You lied on me, but God did." Oh, y'all don't hear what I'm saying. And he says, check this out. He says, "I went through all of that so that I could get here ahead of you to do you a favor, that it might be, the blessing might be in posterity, that generationally our people might survive in the earth." And I thought, oh my God, look at the big idea. Forgiveness is a big idea. It's a big, and you'll never be able to do it when you're down here punching like this. You have to be big enough to see the greater purpose of the pain you went through, or you will never be able to let it go.